Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to What in the World is Going On, the podcast where we dive deep into news that impacts society. I'm your host, Burl McQueen. Each episode, we will bring you thought provoking discussion and valuable insight. Whether you're a seasoned enthusiast or just getting started, this show is for you. Here at What in the World is Going On, we will be covering a wide range of world community related subjects, from the latest news to personal stories and advice. Remember, this podcast is a conversation, and we want to hear from you. Feel free to reach out to us on social media or through your podcast with your questions, comments, and suggestions for future episodes. Again, thank you for joining us on What in the World is Going On. Sit back, relax, and let's begin the show. In today's show, I will discuss potential problems facing the Democratic National Convention 2024. And please do not forget to like and subscribe. How severe was the 1968 Democratic Convention protest? The 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago was marked by significant protests and unrest. Demonstrators, largely composed of anti-Vietnam protesters and various activist groups, clashed with the police in what became a violent and chaotic scene. The severity of the protests was high, with instances of police brutality captured on television and widespread reports of unrest in the city. The confrontations between protesters and law enforcement resulted in injuries to both demonstrators and police officers, as well as numerous arrests. The 1968 Democratic Convention protest was remembered as a particularly tumultuous and divisive moment in American history. Now, let us compare the August 1968 Democratic Convention protest to the pre-Democratic Convention in 2024. The 1968 Democratic Convention protests in Chicago were notably violent and chaotic, with clashes between demonstrators and police leading to a significant amount of injuries and arrests. The unrest was fueled by anti-Vietnam War sentiments and civil rights issues. The assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King 4 months earlier in April 1968 contributing to a tense and turbulent atmosphere. In comparison, pre-Democratic Convention protests leading up to the 2024 event have generally been more peaceful and organized thus far. Demonstrators in 2024 have focused on a variety of issues such as climate change, racial justice, health care, and income inequality. The Ukraine and Israeli war. While there have been instances of civil disobedience and protests, university campus takeovers, the overall tone has been less confrontational compared to the 1968 protests. Overall, thus far, the 1968 Democratic Convention protests were characterized by a higher level of violence and disorder compared to pre-convention protests in 2024, reflecting different social and political contexts in each period. Now let's discuss the African American sentiment in Chicago towards illegal immigrants. The sentiment among African Americans in Chicago towards illegal immigrants can vary widely depending on individuals' perspectives, experiences, and community dynamics. Like any diverse group, African Americans in Chicago hold a range of opinions on the topics influenced by factors such as economic conditions, social dynamics, political beliefs, and personal interactions. Some may feel empathy toward migrants and advocate for their rights, considering their own history of overcoming adversity and discrimination. Others may express concern about competition for resources or jobs, or have different views on migration policies. The diverse viewpoints have come to a boiling point within the African American community in Chicago, so much that it very well may become a protested issue during the Democratic National Convention, August 18, 2024. On the Palestinian-Israeli protests in Chicago. Protests related to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in Chicago have been known to draw significant attention and participation over the years from various communities with vested interests in the region. These demonstrations often reflect the complexities and tensions surrounding the conflict and can elicit strong emotions from both pro-Israeli and pro-Palestinian supporters. In Chicago, these protests have the potential to attract diverse groups and generate lively discussions about political situations in the Middle East. With the political tension of these groups fueling, the Democratic National Convention, along with security, will more than likely have a tough time trying to snuff this fire out. Now, there is also the contention of economic depression. America is facing an economic depression, in my view, a significant decline in economic activity across multiple sectors. Here are some key features Americans economically are confronted with. 1. High unemployment. A large number of people are out of work, leading to high unemployment rates. 2. Major contraction in GDP. The economy is experiencing a significant decline in the gross domestic product, indicating a shrinking economy. 3. Reduced consumer spending. Consumer confidence is low, leading to decreased spending on goods and services. 4. Business failures. Many businesses are struggling or go bankrupt due to reduced demand, leading to closures and job losses. 5. Deflation. Prices of goods and services decrease as demand falls, leading to deflationary pressures in the economy. 6. Bank failures. Financial institutions are facing insolvencies due to a rise in loan defaults and a lack of deposits, resulting in bank failures. 7. Stock market decline. Stock markets experience sharp declines and prolonged bear markets as investors lose confidence in the economy. 8. Government intervention. Governments may implement stimulus measures, bailouts programs, or monetary policy to try to revive the economy. Overall, an economic depression is a prolonged period of economic hardship characterized by widespread unemployment, businesses failures, reduced consumer spending, and financial instability. Residents of Chicago have been feeling the burn of high taxes from this blue state for decades, so much so that companies and residences are relocating to more suitable states. Illinois is a tax-burdened state. I believe voices will be heard across ethnic groups in Chicago on August 18, 2024 for various oppressed reasons. How will the Democratic National Convention of 2024 compare to the turmoil of the Democratic National Convention of 1968? Well, the verdict is still out. The people may very well be the judge by protested voice and at the voting booth. The Democratic National Convention in 2024 and the November election turnout could possibly hurt Democrats for decades regarding their position as blue states. The protests in 1968 lasted 7 days, from August 23rd to August 29th, 1968. The Republican nominee, former Vice President Richard Nixon, defeated both the Democratic nominee, incumbent Vice President Hubert Humphrey, and the American Independent Party nominee, former Alabama Governor George Wallace. Although Robert F. Kennedy Jr., an independent, virtually was outcast by the Democratic Party in this 2024 election, and Kamala Harris is the Vice President nominee in 2024, the outcome seemed very similar to the election of 1968. History has a way of repeating itself. What a coincidence. Thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe.
Clubs were swinging, men were hit on the head, men were arrested. This is what happens when people charge a police line. There is blood that is shed.